What is up, guys? Delboy here. So according to Bad Left Hook, Deontay Wilder will defend his WBC heavyweight title against Luis Ortiz on the 3rd of March at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Now, what do I think about this fight? Firstly, I will say it's a step up for Deontay Wilder based on his competition so far. I do feel Deontay Wilder's level of competition so far has been subpar at best. So this does represent a step up. But I will say I'm not sure where Luis Ortiz is even at right now in terms of his career, because I'll tell you why. Firstly, let's talk about his physical fitness. Ultimately, this is a guy who has been diagnosed as having high blood pressure. And when you combine that with the fact that a lot of people say he's older than his actual listed age, and he's not exactly a body beautiful heavyweight, I question his health. You know, if this guy is diagnosed as having high blood pressure, is this guy even fit enough to compete in a world heavyweight title fight? Boxing is an extremely stressful sport on the body and the mind. You know, how is this guy going to deal with it if he's got high blood pressure and, you know, he's older than he's listed as, you know? So I question his actual physical health. Not only that, the last 2 times I've seen him in the ring against relatively well-known opponents, he's looked terrible. He looked terrible against Dave Allen, and he looked terrible against Malik Scott. He fought Malik Scott in November 2016, and he fought Dave Allen in December 2016. Now, he has fought once since then. He fought in December 2017 against Daniel Martz. To Luis Ortiz's credit, he looked pretty good that fight, but Daniel Martz is quite terrible. He's not durable, and he was a lamb to the slaughter. You know, so the Daniel Martz fight I don't really think tells us too much. One thing I will say about the Daniel Martz fight, Ortiz still looked relatively quick, and he looked a little bit less chubby than he looked in the past. So I didn't think he looked terrible, which is good. He looked in quite good shape, which is good, so that's a positive. But I do question where Luis Ortiz is at right now. I question how much left he has in the tank, and I question his general health. And I think that's fair questions to ask right now. I mean, ultimately, like I said, this is a guy who has been diagnosed as having high blood pressure. This is a guy who takes medication for having high blood pressure, and I appreciate that. That doesn't necessarily mean he's unfit, but when you're a pro athlete, especially a heavyweight boxer, it does raise a bit of concern. So going into this fight, Luis Ortiz has been extremely inactive, and his last good performance against a high-level fighter was probably Bryant Jennings, and what was that, 2015? I think it was December 2015 that was. So going into the Deontay Wilder fight, that's in March, it would be over 2 years since his last really good performance. So going into the Wilder fight, he's going to be inactive and not in the best of form, it's fair to say. He has been winning, but I just don't think he's looked that great. So the main thing for me is, although it's still a step up for Deontay Wilder, I do question where Luis Ortiz is at right now and how much he has left. Stylistically, I don't think this is a terrible fight for Deontay Wilder. Firstly, I always felt, even when Luis Ortiz was looking good, Ortiz's feet were quite flat. And Wilder, while his footwork isn't great, his feet are quick. And if he pops the jab, I think he can actually make for quite an elusive target. We saw that in the first Bermane-Stiverne fight. If Wilder is in with a guy who has flat feet, then he can look quite effective when he uses that jab. His jab is good when he uses it. The issue with Deontay Wilder for me is his jab is very inconsistent. So for example, against Gerald Washington, he just refused to jab with Washington for whatever reason, and he was getting outboxed. But obviously he got the stoppage in that fight. But when it was a boxing match, his jab was non-existent. But against Stiverne, like I said in the first fight, the jab was like a laser. It wasn't missing. It was accurate. It was powerful. It was setting up attacks. It was really good. And he was using his feet as well in that fight. I feel he needs to go back to that sort of performance where he's light on his feet, he's looking for that jab and he's looking for that right hand when he can throw it. if he sort of utilises that game plan on the back foot and looks for the openings, then I think it's going to be a hard night for Luis Ortiz, because I don't think Luis Ortiz's foot speed is comparable to Deontay Wilder's. So I think stylistically, I don't think this is a terrible fight for Deontay Wilder. I really don't. And to me, Luis Ortiz is better in the mid-range, and he's better counter-punching in exchanges. You know, we saw that against Bryant Jennings. One of the knockdowns was, I believe, an uppercut when Bryant Jennings was throwing. And that's when Deontay Wilder's going to be in danger. When he really lets his hands go, he needs to be wary not to let Luis Ortiz back in the fight. And the moment when Deontay Wilder really needs to be careful about that is when Luis Ortiz might be hurt. Because one of the criticisms for Deontay Wilder, and I think it's a fair one, when he has his man hurt, he's a very good finisher, but he does leave himself extremely open. And Luis Ortiz is a very subtle counterpuncher. He can counterpunch on the inside and the mid-range. So when Wilder is sort of jumping on him, it could give Luis Ortiz some counterpunch opportunities. And, you know, Wilder does jump in sometimes. We saw against Eric Molina, he got caught with a big left hook, nice counterpunch, big check left hook from Eric Molina. Deontay Wilder just jumped right into it. They are the type of shots that Luis Ortiz could catch Deontay Wilder with, because he is an accomplished counterpuncher. You know, so to me, Wilder needs to utilise his athletic advantages in this fight. He needs to utilise the length, his greater length, and he needs to utilise his quicker feet and younger legs. He needs to keep on the outside, pop that jab, look for that big right hand when it's available, because when the right hand isn't available, he's going to be winning the rounds based off the jab. So to me, Wilder just needs to box to orders. If he does that, I think he wins the fight. It's whether Wilder gets careless and gets caught. And with Deontay Wilder, to me, that is always a very big possibility. I know it's not showed up yet, but I've seen signs. Like I said, Eric Molina, the guy is not a good fighter, and Wilder got rocked against him. If Eric Molina can rock you, then Luis Ortiz can do some damage. You know, if sort of Spilka's speed and agility is causing Wilder problems, then some of the counterpunching of Luis Ortiz can definitely give Wilder issues. When Ortiz is throwing quick shots that Wilder doesn't see coming, it's going to give him issues, you know. But if he keeps it solely on the outside, I'd expect Wilder to get the job done. But he just needs to box to orders. And we've only seen Deontay Wilder do that once in his career so far, and that was against Stavern in the first fight, when Stavern was a champion. So, listen, I think the fight, I do think the fight favours Deontay Wilder stylistically. I also feel that, well, I'm not sure how much Ortiz even has left. So I'm making Deontay Wilder a big favourite here. I think Ortiz has a chance. I think he's got a puncher's chance. I could easily see him sort of walking Deontay Wilder into a big shot. I could see that happening, you know. But I have to say, I do make Deontay Wilder a favourite. I know a lot of people are picking Luis Ortiz, but I'm feeling Deontay Wilder right now. I will make a official prediction video near the time. I'm going to watch both guys, and I'm going to watch some of their fights, and we'll sort of take it from there. But right now, I am sort of leaning towards Deontay Wilder. What do you guys think about this fight? I have to say, I'm not quite as looking forward to it as I was originally, mainly because of Luis Ortiz and where he's even at. But it's still a good fight. It still represents a step up for Deontay Wilder, and it's going to be interesting to see how he looks. What do you guys think? Peace.